Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Suzanne Sullivan, and I live in Wilmington. I received a phone call today from Representative Jim Maselli, and he was wondering if anybody was going to be here from Wilmington. He wanted to attend and could not attend because he has a lot of concerns about this project. I also have to listen, is sitting here listening to the presentation. The concerns I had before have really compounded.
Did Representative Maselli contact you, or did you contact him?
He contacted me. I'm a former selectman in the town of Wilmington. I've served on a multitude of boards in the town, including the Affordable Housing Board. I currently serve on a committee where it's called the Wilmington Environmental Restoration Committee, and our charge is to deal with the Olin chemical site. I'm sure maybe many of you are aware of that site. The Olin chemical site? Well, the Olin chemical site is on Ames Street. It is responsible for a chemical called NDMA that shut down our water supply, Maple Meadow Brook, the brook that you saw up there. Right, so it's a Superfund site. It has a large plume of contamination in the bedrock, right adjacent to this, where they're going to be doing the blasting. Currently, we now have NDMA traveling through bedrock fractures into people's private wells up on Cook Ave. There's been some testing going on over on Border Ave, and it's actually even traveled up to Hillside Ave, which is right adjacent to the Mill Reservoir that the gentleman was talking about. I have serious concerns about the blasting and what that's going to do, whether it's going to end up releasing more contamination in the area. I think everybody has to be concerned about that. I'd like to know who's going to be responsible if things do happen and they release more contamination. Just to give you a little background, Maple Meadow Brook is a water supply for the town of Wilmington. We used to get 60% of our water from there. We no longer get water from there because of NDMA, but we are working, me along with other citizens, I'm the vice president of Wilmington Environmental Restoration Committee, and we get, so far we've gotten $100,000 in grant money from the EPA to oversee the Olin chemical site with our own consultants. So we're working very hard to try to clean up that aquifer. The fact that they're going to be blasting, I'd like to know what kind of chemicals they're going to be using, what kind of background testing they're going to do in the area to ensure that their own chemicals will be accounted for, whether it's perchlorate or whether it's some other type of blasting chemicals that they're now using instead of perchlorate. It travels quickly through the water columns. So I ask that this board seriously consider the impacts to our water supply, which is probably, I'd have to guess, maybe 2,000 feet from this project, and it's our zone 2.
Do you understand there's already a permit outstanding for X over 150 units? They already have a permit.
Well, that may be true, but I do understand that. But and that may be true, but it seems to me like they're increasing the amount that they're going to be blasting. I mean, I was never aware, and I don't know whether in the original permit whether a lot of these concerns with our water supply and with the Olin chemical site had been addressed. But I understand that this is a new process for a different project, and if it wasn't addressed in the first round, I suggest that it be addressed in the second round, because a lot of people could be impacted by it, especially in my town. I also asked that this board look into whether this proponent should be doing an environmental impact report. I don't know if there's been a traffic study that's been done yet, but it seems to me, listening to some of the numbers of these truck trips, that they're triggering MEPA review. That's the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act. They're on a state highway. They're generating, from what I gather, just for traffic and for impervious surface maybe also, I don't know. So, I mean, that's it pretty much in a nutshell. I just wanted to say that Representative Maselli is very concerned, and he did call me. I did not call him. I heard about this project, and we've had conversations with...
This is the at least the third hearing we've had on them. We had others before. I haven't seen Representative Maselli.
Well, he got phone calls from other people in the area. Nobody knew about this. I didn't know about it either. Or I would have been to one of the first hearings. The first time that we heard about it, was at one of our meetings, our work meetings, the Wilmington Environmental Restoration Committee, and we spoke with Jim DiLorenzo from EPA and requested that he contact somebody in Woburn to discuss the concerns that he had with blasting in the area. I mean, just to give you some background, I don't know if this board knows this or not, but this is a fault. It's called the Bloody Bluff Fault. Okay, so you could trigger an earthquake for all I know, especially the deeper that they go, the more that they do. I don't know, it's called the Bloody Bluff Fault. And the reason why they call it...
Madam, you've had 2 or 3 civil engineers at the microphone tonight. Nobody's mentioned an earthquake. Did you say earthquake?
It's an earthquake fault. It runs all the way. Am I a civil engineer? No, but I know that you can trigger through the impacts of blasting, that you could trigger some type of action. Absolutely. I mean, this is a fault that runs all. The reason why it's called Bloody Bluff is because it runs all the way down to Concord and even farther than that. And some of the bedrock outcroppings, like they want to blast away, is on the Bloody Bluff in Concord, and that's where it gets the Bloody Bluff Fault name from. It is. If you look and do research on it, that's what's there. I think that's a concern. It's a concern for me, especially considering the millions of gallons of contamination from the Olin site that's laying within that fault line. And the fractures that, I mean, their objective is to fracture bedrock. You could release that contamination to Lord knows where. Wherever the bedrock goes, wherever it follows bedrock fractures. We already know it is now, and it's getting worse because the town of Wilmington isn't pumping it into their water supply anymore. So now it's spreading. So it could get a lot worse, and I really strongly recommend that this board consider that issue. Thank you very much.